Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio's Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines from the past. On this day, the 22nd of December, in 1894, Alfred Dreyfus, the French officer who was found guilty of selling military secrets, was sent to Devil's Island. Innocent of the crime, his conviction sparked the Dreyfus Affair. The Dreyfus Affair was one of the most significant and nail biting scandals. I say nail biting because of the tension that surrounded the Dreyfus Affair. It became a significant chapter in the history of France. Eventually, the officer was exonerated, yet the scandal had made its mark on French history. Moving forward, on this day in 1965, the 70 miles an hour speed limit was introduced in Britain, a fascinating moment in the history of, well, motorway policing. On this day in 1987, Chinese thieves caused chaos in the streets of Xianyang in North China, where they stole 2,249 manhole covers to sell back to government departments. A fascinating moment in the history of burglaries, I suppose. And on that comical note, we conclude today's headlines of the day. And now we move on to the next segment of our show where we recount the famous births and deaths of famous figures from the 19th and 20th centuries and sometimes earlier. Born on this day in 1856 was Giacomo Puccini, the famous Italian composer of popular operas including La Bohème from 1896, Madame Butterfly from 1904, and the great masterpiece, which remains to be a personal favorite for yours truly as well, the masterpiece titled Turandot, which unfortunately he could never complete. Nevertheless, Giacomo Puccini has secured himself in the pantheon of great Western classical music composers. And alongside him, in 1949, Maurice and Robin Gibb, born on the Isle of Man, their parents moved to Australia where they and elder brother Barry were brought up and where they formed the internationally successful group the Bee Gees, with hits including Massachusetts and I've Got a Message to You, and of course, Staying Alive. And unfortunately, on this day in 1880, George Eliot, English author of The Mill on the Floss, would pass away. His death would be followed by the death of Nathaniel West, the American author of The Day of Locust, who was killed with his wife in a motor accident in California on this day, the 22nd of December, 1940. And unfortunately, alongside them, in 1989, Samuel Beckett, Nobel Prize winning Irish author and playwright, passed away in Paris. Truly, this day would remain to be a dark day in the history of Western literature. And on that unfortunate note, we conclude today's headlines of the day. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio's Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi. And these are today's headlines as history first heard them. Good night.